Hey everyone, in this video, I want to take you through a mid-year update of where I'm at with things. So if you haven't checked out my start of year kind of plan for the year, I recommend checking out that video because that will give you some context for this one. But you might have noticed I haven't made content for a little while now, and really the reason that I haven't done that is because I've been trying to kind of work through um, this model that I've created here and really try to streamline it a bit further. And that's taken time. It's taken a bit longer than I expected. I think one of the reasons why is I had to get really clear on what I wanted to build, what type of business I wanted to build, what type of products I wanted to offer, and that just took time. Took a bit of took a bit of like introspective thinking. Took a bit of like going out to the market, doing some research. Took definitely like speaking to other people who are in the same industry and outside the same industry to really just make sure, yeah, that what I was doing, I think, was setting me up in the best way for the kind of like coming years. And the reason it all started is because I was starting to feel like having these three things here, so like two products plus a project to work on, was really just becoming too much, right? It was just one too many things to be trying to manage and trying to focus on. I think like focus, that's the real thing, right? So back up here, two things I wanted to hit was like consistency and focus on inputs. What I was finding was it was becoming difficult to work out where to put the focus, right, out of these three. Um, and that was just causing like I guess some friction. The other thing that happened is I brought on someone a couple months ago to start helping me sell these products, but what became clear very quickly was that there was confusion internally about which of these should be offered to potential clients. So that's us in terms of which offer to make. And then there was also confusion in the marketplace because were coming to these calls and it wasn't exactly clear what we were offering, right? And so that was causing internal and kind of external confusion. And so it really just brought it to a head for me, and made me realize, okay, I got to kind of clean this up a little bit. So let's take you through some changes that I've made and talk to you about what I'm going to be doing going forward, if you're interested, of course. So nothing will change here on this side. The only difference is this, again, hasn't been consistent enough. So the plan is to, now that I've got this clear, I can come back and start putting some focus on the traffic engine side. One thing that probably has been more consistent is the ads. So that's kind of running in the background. But the content side has definitely slowed down, in fact, stopped for a few weeks. Websites are the same, nothing changed there. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm removing the accelerator completely as a product. Now that was a super hard decision to make for a few reasons. Like number one, I've been running it for a few years now, and it's been successful, right? Like we've had filmmakers go through that and produce their first feature films, and then start producing not only their next feature film, but then go out and start producing like other people's feature films. So I've been seeing, yeah, filmmakers who I've worked with going out there and essentially like starting to build their career, which was the plan for that product the whole time, right? It was really about how do you empower filmmakers, with the skills, with the knowledge to go out there and start producing their films. So it was definitely a hard decision to make, but one that I felt I just had to make. Otherwise, this kind of confusion was just going to continue indefinitely. So this last week is the last week that I'm doing like any Q&A calls on that in that community, and the clients still have access to the community and the content, so that's ongoing. But there's no longer any Q&As that are happening, and I won't be selling it going forward. So then that leaves the fast track offer. So the way I've been running that up to this point has been a very service delivery based kind of model. So it's essentially like an EP service. But a few things I've found over the last like couple of years is that the first one is, in order to really get the most out of a relationship with an executive producer, you still need to be in the driver's seat. So when I've worked with EPs myself, and this happened when I first started learning how to raise finance, and it's happening with me now as I'm working with another EP on this project. The more I have control as a producer of the big decisions, like what should the budget be? What does the finance plan look like? Who do we want to work with? Who do we want to cast? What is our timeline? Like, when do decisions need to be made by? When do applications need to be submitted by? All those like big questions that really a producer should be making are best suited to be made by the producer. What was happening though in here is that some of those projects were relying on me to make some of those decisions. And so rather than really empowering those people, yeah, it almost became like disempowering, right? And so that's something that I noticed that was happening. The other thing was that there were a lot of benefits to the accelerator, right? So I started thinking about, how do I make these two products, how do I almost like merge them to become one product? And what do I like about, different aspects of those products? And what do I think are most beneficial for the filmmakers? So like, for example, the accelerator has a Q&A call every week. So that means everyone knows that I'm available at that set time to speak with me. That's something that's really good, because if people have problems and they need to contact me and they need to speak to me like on Zoom, or on a call, but in this case on Zoom, they know I'm available those days. They don't have to try and schedule with me. We don't have to like work out, who's free on what day. It's just like, I'm there on those times. So one of the things that I implemented into this product is that. So, but rather than have like one Q&A a week, I've added 3. So that way there's 3 set times every single week that anyone can jump on a call with me and work through whatever questions that they have. And so the reason I think that's important is it speeds up the feedback loop, right? The sooner that you can get feedback from someone, the sooner that you can take that, implement it, go away, work on it, and then come back for more advice or more guidance. And what I was finding with just running it as purely an EP is that the feedback loop was slowing down. It felt like, and I could see that people weren't getting feedback fast enough. So that's something that I've added there. The other thing I think that's really beneficial from the accelerator is just being in a group setting, right? Like being able to speak with other filmmakers going through the same journey, seeing what they're doing. I'm not, while I obviously have a lot of experience making films, I'm not a screenwriter, I'm not a director. So there's a bunch of questions that can come up that are actually better suited to be answered by someone else. Or someone else just might have more experience or insight, or might be out there raising finance in a certain way that I haven't been doing. And so like that sharing of information between each other is something that doesn't happen if you're just working with people one-on-one, right? Because there's basically no benefit to the whole. There's no benefit to everyone who's working with me. There's no sharing of information. So that's something that I wanted to solve. And also, given I'm still producing films, like about to produce another film, I didn't have any mechanism where I could share what I'm learning over here to my clients. So all these things made me think about, okay, how do I create something that's basically like the best of both worlds? And so what I came up with was to take the group and community aspect of the accelerator and then infuse that with, that kind of one-on-one support that might be needed when you're raising finance, when you get close to closing finance, right? Where you just need, you need like more advice, or you need like kind of more support when you're looking at different contracts and offers and that sort of thing. And so that's what I've done. I've kind of like merged those two into this offer. And I can tell you, like, as soon as I did that, I felt relieved, because yeah, that internal like conflict of just having too many things that you're running, it's definitely a thing, more so than I expected. So that's just streamlined that. And then what that means is, like, over here, I can forget about this because it doesn't even exist. Because this is all streamlined now, I don't have to think about building a team with all these like different people in there. And again, this can just be really streamlined. It should probably just be like a sales rep at some point, me, and maybe like, yeah, some sort of like biz affairs person that can like jump in and help as these films like get closed, or they're at delivery and they need help there, or they're preparing their books for audit to get like a rebate back and they need some more assistance there. So that kind of that simplifies this side of it as well. And so that's where I got to. So that's really been this kind of struggle that I've had for like the last few months. Um, but now that I'm there, it's actually just freed up a lot of, just a lot of space to now really focus on this and start focusing on this. So where I'm at with this project is we've just submitted, we've got a development application in with Screen Australia. We're waiting to hear back from a lead actor for one of the lead roles of the younger lead. So we're hoping to hear back from them in the next like week or two. If they come on board, then we're going to go straight out to Australian and New Zealand distributors to try and lock in an ANZ distributor, as well as go out to the co-lead. So there's like a young lead and an older lead. So we'd start going out to the older lead and try and attach them. And then once we've got either ANZ locked in or that lead actor locked in, then we'll go out to sales agents, attach them, and then the aim is to make some funding applications in around September, and ideally be shooting around like Feb, March next year. So we've got a decent runway. We've still got like 9 months to finance the film, which gives us enough buffer, right? So like if things go wrong or certain finance doesn't land, there's enough time in there to go out and like replace that money. So that's where we're at. So that's the overview. And then what I'll take you through quickly is just like what this looks like now. Okay, so the plan for this now is, okay, how do we create a tight-knit group of filmmakers, right? So people who you are going to end up working with, trusting, sharing information with, being inspired by. How do we just find like a set amount of killer filmmakers who really we know can go out and raise money and like produce films on their own, but they want to get there faster or they don't want to make as many mistakes, and so they're looking for help along that journey. And really the goal is that everyone is just exclusively working on making high quality films, right? Like that's the overarching aim of that group. How do we all work towards that common goal? The way we do it is by developing high quality material, right? So focusing heavily on the scripts, on the package, like the package material. Obviously securing finance and distribution, that's a huge part of it. If you can't get through the financing stage, you can't make a film. And then building a team. So not just a team of like great crew, great cast, but also how do you start building out your team of like lawyers, accountants, insurers, like that team that I've shown you here that I have for myself, right? How do filmmakers start building this out? And part of the way that they can do that is by leveraging my network and my experience, right? So obviously, if you haven't gone through this process before, you haven't built that team, then one of the biggest reasons why you would partner with someone or why you would engage another producer or an EP or someone like that is really to leverage their network, right? You want to have access to their contacts. And you want to leverage their experience, right? So you want to make sure that anything you're doing, there's just nothing obvious that you're making mistakes on. And this is, so like I mentioned, like I'm doing this on my film now. So I've engaged another producer. He's coming on board the project. He's acting like an EP. And the reason is he's got a great set of contacts. He's got a great network. He's been in the industry for much longer than I have. And he has experience. He's just seen more films get financed, get produced, get distributed. And so he's going to be able to pick up on any potential like pitfalls that we're running into. And then, like I said, we're all just working towards the same thing, which is like producing high quality films and advancing our career. So regardless of where we're at, we're all trying to keep getting better, right? Keep building a career in the industry. Now, obviously, it's going to be run by me. If you don't know who I am, that's me, but you probably do if you're watching this video. And our focus is on implementation, collaboration, and community. So rather than have, like the accelerator had a lot of course content, there's no course content in this in this in this product. It's really just focusing on getting people the help that they need where they're at right now. I've got like all the templates, all the resources, like I've got all that stuff that is all there if people need it. But what's more important is to actually work out where people are at. And this is what I found: work out where they're at and just give them the information that they need, or that template that they need, or the resource that they need. And more importantly, to be able to be there and be able to like give advice and give guidance constantly to them as they're going through the process. So that's really what we're going to focus on. It's definitely more like mentorship based, community based, as opposed to any course or content based. And yeah, the ideal is to get it to this point, right? It just feels like you're hanging out with a bunch of people that you want to hang out with, who are all working towards that same goal and who are all helping each other get there. That's really what I'm trying to build here. So how it works is there's going to be, again, yeah, like rather than having just like, this is the way you do it, this is the only model. I've learned, having seen enough films now through these products, like I've been exposed to probably over like 100 feature films. And what I've definitely learned is that there's no one way to do it. And everyone's specific circumstances does affect like which road you should take or how you should go about financing a film. So to just have like one way to do it doesn't work. That's really what I've realized more than anything doing this over the last few years. And so what's more important is for me to be able to assess where people are at and what their current circumstances are, and then show them like, this is the clearest direction for you to take. This is a roadmap for you to take, specifically you, for that specific project in order to get the film financed. And then they can go and just implement that, knowing that it's been tailor-made for them, as opposed to just trying to fit into a model. And so the community is hosted on School. That's just like a community platform. And then, like I said, I do 3 1 to 2 hour weekly calls, and they're set up so that they can accommodate Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and North America. So really, it covers like every time zone. And then the investment for that, like it's the same as it was when it was just the service. So it's 12K a year. And so that's it. That's the new offer. That's how that all works. Now, if you want to speak to me about that, obviously, or you should know where to book a call. But if you don't, you can just go here. Just go to that website, and you can apply. There we go. And then back here, let me get this back up. So now that I've like worked all that out, now I can come back to this with a bit more like calmness, a bit more clarity, and a bit more focus. And that's why now I feel like for the first time in a while, I've been able to come back and start and do this video, do some content. And so that's what I'll be firing up again now. All right, so that's it for the video. Keen to hear what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.